Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm TJ Nuttleman, along with my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection, Mr. Dan Plan. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
I'm pretty excited for this one. I remember when he first went late model racing at La Crosse. I worked at a radio station and we sponsored him, and it was pretty darn exciting. Please welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast, the one, the only, Skylar Holzhausen.
Hey there.
We are glad to have you here, Skylar. And some people might be thinking, well, why do you have Skylar on? Is he even racing? And I can tell you this. I was leaving the race shop one day where my husband Toby works, Chris Johnson's place. And as I pulled out of the driveway, I see a pickup truck coming down the road. And I looked and I said, oh my gosh, that's Skylar and Steve. But I couldn't turn around because I had a place I had to go. But I was bummed. So, of course, afterwards, I called Toby and I was like, what were Steve and Skylar doing out at the shop? And that was when I found out the news that I will let you share.
I don't know if I don't even know if I know what really happened. It was kind of I guess I wasn't expecting it. You know, we were kind of looking for a car. And Dad was talking to Toby if there was any used Toby cars around at all. And, you know, I think they talked a couple times, and, you know, Toby said, yeah, I didn't think that there was anything used sitting around. And, you know, so we were kind of just, you know, running around. I was looking for maybe one of my old cars, even an old Ranger car, something good, you know, something that I could putz with and spend some time, because I've been wanting to have a project like that sitting around, whether we raced or not, you know, just to work on it the next year or so. But apparently Toby kind of was the one putting this all together. He kind of spearheaded it or whatever, and it's kind of a pretty special deal. Yeah, I think Johnny Gilbertson, he's one of the guys involved, and I believe Craig and Chris and Toby, and we're taking the car Nick Clements drove last year. We took that car all apart, and we're using the parts off of that, and we're building a brand new Toby car. So it's first new car I've had since 2008, and so I don't even know how to handle myself with that. So it's, you know, it's just really special. I feel so blessed to be able to do this.
That's cool. Now, so that means you're going to be running Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway then for the whole season, yes?
But that's the plan. The chassis, as of today, March 30th, is at the powder coater. So we ain't got a lot of time, but I believe Brian Banks bringing a body up from 5-star today or tonight. So we're going to have that to start tuning on a little bit and just kind of have everything ready. You know, we got part of the motors at Wagner right now getting worked on. They didn't have enough time to do the whole thing. But, you know, the last month or so, we've been putting parts together and cleaning parts off that other car and just trying to line everything up so that, you know, hopefully, and, you know, if we get it next week, hopefully, you know, we'll have like around 5 weeks before practice. So it's going to be a short time period to put a car together, but we got a good group of guys to help us.
So it is a La Crosse late model, and that means you could actually change it over to do some Big 8 races. Are you planning to do any Big 8 maybe, or no?
I think this plan is so far is just to hopefully get enough sponsors just to run the whole year at La Crosse. You know, super late programs nowadays to go run even at the Dells locally for us is just, you know, it's hard to find sponsors that even travel an hour away. So I'm hoping that we can find enough to do this season, you know, and obviously I'd like to do some super late races, but this at least keeps us close to home with I got 2 kids now and stuff. So it, you know, at least can scratch that itch a little bit.
Nice. Let's talk real quickly about your kids. Got 2 little girls. Tell us about them.
Yeah, we got Adriana. She's going to be 6 in a couple weeks, and we have Noelle, and she's just turned 6 months not too long ago.
How is fatherhood sitting with you?
It's a lot of work, you know. It takes a lot of your time, but, you know, and stresses you out a lot. But man, I tell you, I always thought I'd maybe want a boy, or, you know, a boy and a girl. But I really like having girls. They're pretty cute.
Aw, that's so sweet. Dan,
with
did you,
your
yeah.
with your super program, like you're saying, it's tough to race at it. I was kind of hoping you'd have a couple shows scheduled maybe this year, since Elko is going to have a super late race this year, and you won that one there several years ago. And was it like a brick of silver that you got for winning that race?
No, it was after that. So that was that Gandrud 250 they had there. So it was just what the heck was it? It was kind of a one-off thing. It was a $10,000 to win deal, and that car was hooked up that night. There was 225 laps, I believe. And I mean, that thing was just, I haven't had a car that hooked up in a while, and I don't know if I've had one since that was that fast. I mean, that's a good two-group track. And I mean, I could drive right around those boys in the bottom and leave them. And you don't usually see that at that place. So, I'd love to go back there. I don't know if we could do that again, but I'd enjoy going back there. We don't have a super late anymore, obviously, but this car isn't that far off of what a super late is. So potentially, if something ever came around, like a nice ace motor, we could make it a super late pretty easily.
Cool.
So you've got some folks, hopefully that'll be coming on board with some sponsorship for you. I know that that's probably not your favorite part about putting a race team together, but I do think there's going to be a lot of excitement to see a Holzhausen back at the track, especially La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway.
Yeah, no, it's we got a couple in the talk. Gonna go talk to some guys tomorrow. It's been hard with family life and work life, and then trying to put this thing together in such a short amount of time to go talk to people. And I'm definitely kind of bashful to go, do that sort of thing. But we got some guys we're going to talk to, and hopefully we can round up enough money to at least do the lacrosse thing, and even though it's like 12 or 13 nights plus Oktoberfest, and one tire night or two tires a night, it's still pretty expensive to go do, but I think it's going to be doable.
Awesome. I know your grandpa's no longer with you, but I also know he would be super proud to know that you're going back racing.
Yeah, it's the whole thing's really special. I mean, having Toby, to be there to help us, or if we take the car out there, or just to be able to call and talk to him, it's bringing back a lot of history, between him and Dad. And I got to race a car with him, crew chief, and twice when it was my first season in 2006. So it's been a long time. And that, I mean, every time we practice, we go out there, we come in, we make adjustments, and every time the thing would get better. So I'm excited to get to work with him, and I got such confidence in this whole thing, and with him, I mean, that whole team there is probably one of the best, easily one of the best in the country. So it's just so special. I'm just feel pretty privileged to be able to do this.
That's cool. You are a third generation racer, and I'm sure over the years your grandpa and your dad have probably given you some advice. What's some of the best advice either one of them ever gave you with racing?
I think about all the stuff we talk about when we're, having a drink afterwards and stuff. But, I think the one thing is what way Grandpa always talked to me and Dad, it's just, we gotta keep the car in one piece. That's the main thing. Get it back home so we can work on it. And I feel like we've always done that. We don't race out of our means by any means, I guess. So I think that's just a thing. And, we're religious people, so we try to, thank the good Lord, for everything that happens, in this racing deal. So, I mean, and I'll just try to keep, make sure to keep Christ in everything that we do. And, that's the main thing.
I love that. I love that a lot. What's that going to be like for you to get back on the horse, so to speak? I mean, it's been a while since you got behind the wheel.
Yeah, last year sucked. The first couple months it wasn't so bad. Get some stuff done around the house and stuff. And man, after that, it's tearing me apart. I'm one that likes to keep my hands moving. So, and to be competitive, and it sucked. I got to the end of the year, and this winter everything slowed down. Work was even kind of slow, and I got to do something, whether that be to go help somebody like Toby or go help those guys out in the shop a couple nights a week just to, keep your brain right, but I mean, it's going to be fun, especially going back there. I mean, we got so many laps around La Crosse. It's home. So it's going to be fun, and hopefully it's going to be a good year. I know Chuck isn't going to be full time or whatever. So, I don't know exactly how everything is going to look, but I'm just really excited to be there.
Well, Austin Wells will be kind of spearheading everything out there now. We're planning to get him on the show here eventually too.
All right.
He's very capable. He's been doing a lot of different things. So helping out with Greg McCarnes at Angel Park, and he's been at Rockford, and he's done some stuff even at La Crosse already too. So I think the track is in good hands, and I think Chuck will probably still kind of be involved around the fringe a little bit, more than likely. But it's in good hands. I am just really looking forward to see Purple 78 out there again. I'm assuming it's going to be purple, right?
Yeah, I think, that picture you had on when Dad was on your podcast here, you had that little clip of that car with him and Toby. I think we're going to try to take it right back to exactly that. That was a good car for Dad, and Toby was there. So I think it just feels right for it to have some history with it, I really on here, I should really be thanking Justin Zeminski and Rick Johnson. Last week, Thursday, and last week on Sunday, we worked on that car, me and Rick Johnson. Rick just had surgery, so he's kind of supposed to be taking it easy, and I kind of went over there and helped finish the car up because I didn't have a front stub on it and had a lot of extras. So just got to really thank Rick for muscling through that and to help get this thing moving. And I mean, it's just it means a lot because we got a lot of work to do, to get this thing done, and we needed to get it moving. And I just appreciate those guys, Justin, for letting me come out there and help. I got a beautiful shop there, and it was a good time to see how they do things, and it felt right at home because I'm a fabrication type guy anyway, so it just felt right at home, and I just really appreciate those guys.
Nice. I was actually going to talk a little bit about that. Welding and fabricating, that's pretty much what you do, right? I mean, that's what your daytime job is.
Well, it was about 2 years ago now. I went to work for the Village of Rockland, so I've been kind of doing street stuff and wastewater and water stuff, so public work type stuff. So I don't get to do as much fabrication stuff on the day job, but definitely when I go home and go to the shop, that's what I live and breathe for. I mean, that's what I know, and that's what keeps me going. So it was just a blast. I took the half day last Thursday, and we worked till like 8 o'clock, and I just really enjoyed being over there and being a part of that. That's just a blast.
Nice. I saw your shirt there. If you want to get up just a little bit higher. Skyco, is that like your hobby or your part-time, or what is that?
Yeah, it's just a side hustle. I started an LLC last fall. I had a couple big jobs that I had to have an LLC for. So, but no, I just do a lot of side stuff. I got some guys that they'll call me, once a month or whatever with something. And I do some. I got a couple benders this winter, and I've been kind of working on trying to make some like not really nice shop chairs and some stool type stuff, and just stuff to keep me busy. But now I'm really busy now, so I kind of got to put that stuff on hold, for another month or so, and then I can get back to doing that. But yeah, I love that weld and fabrication stuff. So this is. Putting this whole new car together, man, it's a lot of fun, even though it's going to be like 5 weeks, it's going to be I think we can do it.
It'll make a really great story.
Once you get going on those bar stools, I'll have to place an order. I think I could use a couple of Skyco bar stools down in my basement.
Yeah.
I was going to steal one of Jacqueline's usual questions, and I'm familiar with your race and late models for the longest time, but what did you actually start in and where at?
I ran go-karts, what was it, like 99 through 2002. I ran there's a dirt track south of La Crosse, Mormon Coulee. I ran there for a half a season, I think it was. And And then there was the go-kart track there at La Crosse, or at the West Salem track. I ran there for 2 or 3 years. And then Dad up and sold my cart. And when I was, what was I, 13 or something, 14, because I could go in the pits. He said, well, then you gotta start working on the big car stuff now. You ain't got time for that go-kart stuff. So we went and helped him for a couple of years in the pits before he let me drive one of his late models in 06. So
Okay. So you
Yep.
started out right in late models and
yeah,
on the big track.
yes.
All right,
Yep.
Cool.
I remember having that conversation with your dad about that when he was going to put you right to a late model. And I said, don't you think you'd want to start him in a Sportsman or something? And he said, what's he going to learn there that will transfer over to a late model that he didn't already learn in a go-kart? And I was like,
Sounds-
all right,
sounds
I'm
like-
not going to argue with Steve Holzhausen.
Sounds like the Richard Petty theory too, right? Just no sense starting in something else. If you're going to race cup, just start out in cup. So if you're going to race late models, just go ahead and start there.
Well, and
Yeah.
it worked out for you too, Skylar. You know, I mean, you took right to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was right. I mean, what are you going to learn in a Sportsman car that you ain't going to learn? And he already had a car sitting there. And it was nice. It was a Rander. It was a Toby Rander car at that time, full perimeter chassis, and really good stuff. We want to feature that season. That was really fun, and I learned a lot. We ran there for 2 years, only 2 years, 06 and 07, but learned a lot. Learned how to race clean, and that was what La Crosse. All those guys generally ran so clean, and we learned to keep the fenders on it. Other than I just drive in the backstretch wall, I think every night and take the right side rims off. And my tire guy, Milo, he wasn't very happy about that, but it was a good place to learn. A lot of guys run at these smaller tracks, but La Crosse, a lot of times, like when I first got into Big 8, a lot of those guys were intimidated for whatever reason, being at that big track, and it just felt like home. But I was intimidated when I went to the Dells the first couple of times. Those guys were pretty wild there. I mean, they had Jeff Kendall was down there, and Olerman, and there was a lot of guys down there that had a lot of experience, and they weren't afraid to lean on you. So it was tough when we got there, but once you got the hang of it, it wasn't no different than anywhere else.
One of the interesting things that I don't think a lot of people outside of the La Crosse area maybe know is that the La Crosse late models do not allow spotters, and the only radio that you have is the tower basically in your ear. So that's all you ever knew. So it really probably wasn't a big deal for you, but for others it is. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that transition. Yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal, and even still today, or minus last year, I guess, I still am in my mirrors. I don't trust the spotter, even though you when you're playing offense, you can trust them all you want. But when you're got to play a little bit of defense, or your car's not perfect, you got to be able to trust your mirror, because things happen so fast. And that was great experience. So yeah, going back to not having a spotter ain't a big deal.
I see the hunk of cheese there behind you. That was the Dick Trickle 99. You won that.
Yeah, that was one of the more special races I've won. And that was the last year that he was with us, so it was pretty special. That's probably one of the only trophies I think I got at home here. So, but yeah, that was special. And I think Dad won the first one, and I got to win the last one with Dick around. That was pretty good. That was probably our best year at Oktoberfest. We finished second to Travis Sauter in the Sunday show. Wish we could get in a super late again for that show. I really want to win that race out of any race. So hope in the future we can make something happen.
Well, you never know what doors will open, right?
Yeah.
I also see a big rack in the back. And for those who are listening to the audio portion of this, I'm talking about a deer rack. Thank you very much. But that looks massive. What exactly is that back there?
Well, I got a bunch of heads laying on the ground over there. It's a elk shed I found when I went out west like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I never got one. I've been out there 3 times trying to get an elk, and I haven't got one yet. But I did find a nice big shed that one year. But Yeah.
Wow. So just side question here, because we had your dad on obviously earlier this year, and he had surgery again on his ankle. How is he healing up? I've been meaning to check in on him.
It was looking really good. But it seems like lately he's been sore again, and uh, I don't know. He says he can feel it like popping or something like that. I don't know. He's got to go back in there the next time, I think, and talk to him again. But it was looking really good there for a while, but he's still gets sore pretty often when he's on it all the time. So I don't know. Hopefully it heals. Still healing good, but it's been quite a while since he's had that surgery. I would have thought it would have been progressively getting better, but it's kind of like stalled out.
That I will never forget the day when that throttle stuck at the Dells and he got injured that way. We were still doing the radio show. Bruce Nuttleman and I were doing that radio show out at La Crosse. And I remember I got the news about it and I was just sick to my stomach because I wasn't getting an update on that. You were actually old enough then too to be able to really digest what was going on with that. Do you ever let your mind think about that at all when you're racing? Like, what if the throttle sticks? What's my plan B here?
Yeah, I was racing that. That was a Midwest Tour show that day, 2010, and I was actually racing that day. And I think it was the first practice session out, so I don't even know if I even was out yet. And I could hear it with my earbuds in. I could hear that wall. I could hear him hit the wall. That was, yeah. And then I went over to I got out of the car quick and went over to the wall, and I was like, I think I seen him get out, but it was like, man, and he had blood rolling on his face. He caught his neck on the head restraint or whatever and ripped it open. And I ripped the back of that ambulance door open. They weren't happy about that, but I wanted to see what was going on. So he come over to get his bag or whatever the ambulance did. And I just ripped the back door open to see if he was okay. He had a sense of humor yet, so I knew it was okay. But he said he couldn't feel his leg or whatever. But no, you can't think about that kind of stuff. Even though now with kids and stuff, you worry about more things. You got to be around for them. And I think after that we started putting like brake kill switches in all the cars that I ran to try to help with that. Just because you never know, and it's that was just a bad deal. And in a place like I think there was a fellow that did pass away at the Dells, that similar spot, similar kind of thing. That was a long time ago, but can't remember his name. But yeah, I mean, this stuff can still happen. I know I'm looking to get a brand new helmet here soon. Just did a side job, so hopefully I can pay for that new helmet. But it's just you really got to think about that kind of stuff. Putting new belts in every 3 years or whatever they make you do. You really got to think about that kind of thing because we got to come home to our families.
Yep. And concussions are a much bigger deal these days. I think obviously there's a lot more known about it, concussions, and just how terrible they can be. The more you have, the worse it really gets too. So you got to be wary of that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had one that I know of, but I know there's a lot of guys that get to pat them, and it's something you don't want to be a part of. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't mean to speak ill of anybody, but there's a few characters out there that you can tell have had probably more than their share of concussions when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And that's an unfortunate thing. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer here talking about all the negative stuff, but that is kind of one of the realities though of racing that nobody ever really does want to talk about, but that is something to have, in the back of your mind at least. I don't know. I know I have my pilot's license, although I haven't flown for a while. And one of the things that they always have you do while you're flying is to be looking for your emergency landing place. And I'm no race car driver, but I know for me, I would make dang sure I've got my emergency, whether it is the kill switch or that tow thing to pull the gas pedal back up or whatever you got to do. That's just scary when the throttle sticks like that.
Yeah, I've been to some of these like nostalgic car shows, and you look at the cars that they raced back in the 50s and 60s. And I was telling my dad, because some of the kill switch was on the floor, like between your legs. It's like, well, who would have time to reach down there, right? And the way the cages were made, and was asking my dad, I said, how did anybody live back then? And he said, unfortunately, a lot of them didn't. So it's a good thing that a lot of the safety stuff is in place in racing. And, some of it starts at NASCAR and makes its way down to short track racing. But I think Coleman was one of the first people to make that kill switch for the brake that started out in short track racing. So that's, there is a lot of safety stuff that comes from the short track world too.
For sure. For sure. Do you have any other questions, Dan?
I do not.
I feel like I had more. I was kind of running ass over tea kettle to get home here tonight to record. But Skylar, I just really want to say, though, I am super excited to have you back behind the wheel. At La Crosse is great because it's close for me. But you, of all people, really deserve to be able to get back behind the wheel. And I'm glad that you got a good program being put together. If people did want to get on board and sponsor you, how should they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I suppose they can, message me on Facebook if they're on Facebook, or you can give me a call at 608-317-6775. That's my phone number. So you can give me a shout there if you're interested. We're really excited about this year, and I know I think we're gonna have probably at least half the car figured out pretty easily, but we're gonna be going and having some talks with some other guys here. But definitely, if somebody feels like they want to be a part of this, because this is gonna be pretty special. We're really excited with Toby and Dad, and Johnny Gilbertson's been out the shop the last couple. He was out there tonight, and he was out, what was it, Monday or Tuesday night? So he's all excited about it. So it's just gonna be so special. And I tell you, I feel just so blessed to be a part of it. And I wasn't expecting nothing like this. I mean, when we were there that night, like you were talking, when you were leaving, I mean, I was just we left, and I'm like, did that just really happen? I was asking Dad, and he's just like, well, I wasn't expecting that. It's just so special. And I'm just, I guess I can't believe that there's guys out there that still, want to help, a guy like me. Why me? And that's what I asked those guys, and they didn't really give me a good answer at that. I just wanted to help. I think Toby must have talked to those guys. I don't know why why you wanted to work with me, but I feel so blessed to do it. That's for sure.
Because you're a wheeler, man.
Maybe I forgot, I don't know, but
as a race fan, I know I'm looking forward to seeing a purple, and I would assume Ford body at La Crosse. So that'll be pretty cool to see.
I'm very excited.
Excited to have that purple car out there. I know Grandpa would be proud of that.
Awesome sauce. All right. Well, good luck and God bless, Skylar. And thanks so much for coming on the Racing Nuggets podcast.
I appreciate you guys.
See you in a few weeks.
It won't be long.